balikbayan buntag, everyone. Oh. Wow. The weather kind of matches my mood. Doesn't match the people's downstairs, obviously, because clearly happy down there. Oh, hello. Oh. Mayan buntag, ma'am. Feisty little puppy. Kind of reminds me of my little Bella back in the day. Anyway, I wanted to have a chat to you this morning. Got the Grumpy Old Men's Club t-shirt. It's the morning after we said goodbye to Betty. Dear little Betty Boo. And it made me sit there and think last night that we still haven't done a vlog about buying second-hand cars here and the realities of them. Are they worth it? Are they not? Can you find what you're looking for? Can you not? Cleaning up the dog wee. Good day. So, with all of the buying second-hand cars, my biggest suggestion to you guys, sorry, sloppy hands, is that you must, no matter what, it is an absolutely imperative thing to do, is take a mechanic with you. Now, you can, by all means, don't get me wrong, you know, send them into a shop, get them checked out, all the rest of it, but that costs money, and you can't do that for every car. So my suggestion is, if you're going to go out and have a look at second-hand cars and you find one that you think you like, now even just that, we had an absolute headache and a half looking for second-hand cars. People would either take hours after they were supposed to meet us there, they would say that it's gas and go and it's perfect, and it wasn't. It was an absolute, you know. So don't go by the photos either, because the photos could have been when the car was at its best. It's just like Airbnbs and hotels and everything else here. You'd almost swear that, you know, it's just come out of a detail as when they take the photos 2 or 3 years ago. Anyway, I digress. So getting to it, the biggest thing that you need to do is check for whether or not maintenance has been done. We found that oils, all that sort of stuff, never gets changed unless it literally is at its last breath. Not only that, suspension. Your suspension here is going to get flogged. So if the vehicle is of a certain age, if they haven't replaced it in the last 12 months, you're going to know you're up for a replacement of suspension parts at some point very shortly. Bushings, bearings, your struts or shock absorbers, even your springs. You've got to check all this, and it is absolutely important, because as we found, I mean, we have swapped out on Betty Boo, we've swapped out air conditioning compressor, we've swapped out 2 alternators, we've swapped out the fan belts, we've swapped out all the spark plugs, all the oils, we've had the front arms, we've had their rubbers and everything replaced, we've had front brakes replaced, we've had, what else? Timing belt replaced, we've done a fuel float, we did, you know, and we paid originally just under the 100,000 mark for her. And after we took it to a detailer, sadly, I don't know what they used on the windows, but even the tint that looked brand new when we bought it, yeah, that really went by the wayside. Well, there's a lot of noise this morning. Well, I suppose it is only 6 o'clock in the morning and everybody's getting up for work. So this sort of brought me to wanting to discuss these sort of things with you, because second-hand cars can be great. You can buy little gems. honestly, the way of buying second-hand cars here as well is an absolute nightmare in itself, and can take a long time to get rectified. You have to have the actual owner that's on the registration page. So you've got to have an ORCR, you've got to have the insurance papers. So, and that'll tell you when it's, roughly registered till, or the ORCR will, and then your insurance papers will tell you when it's insured to. Now, you also need to do a deed of sale, so the actual owner needs to be able to turn up and sign a deed of sale that gets notarized. You also need to supply copies of your identification with 3 signatures on it. You need to do that times 2 or 3, so 2 or 3 copies. You will need to do 4 copies of the deed that need to be signed by both parties when it's being released. Don't get involved in this open deed of sale, because the one thing here in the Philippines is I've noticed that in actual fact what happens is they do a deed of sale to sort of say that they've sold it to you, but they've never actually changed it into their names in the first place, because what they do is they actually don't really bother with all that jazz. They just buy it, take it, go and get its emissions tested each time it's due for registration, and get the emissions guys to then run off and rectify it, to pay the registration on it. Which, okay, might suit some, but if you actually want to be the physical owner on the paperwork, that was a 16,500 peso nightmare to get our lawyers to get it through the LTO, and even then, that was probably on the dodge. Can't say, not going to say, not our problem. At the end of the day, the new Australian gentleman that's bought it, he can now, because our lawyers have had the paperwork sorted, we've taken him in, we've done that, so he can actually put it in his name now, which in actual fact he's going to put it in his, I suppose you would say, stepson, his wife's son's name. Now, when you do purchase a car, if you're not going to go through the way we did it with the and you want to go to the LTO and you want to go do all that sort of stuff, be prepared that you've got to go to the highway patrol group first off, and you have to get a clearance on the car. You have to get it cleared that there's no fines owing on it, that there's that it's all legitimate, hasn't been stolen, doesn't have a dodgy motor, all that sort of stuff. Then you've got to go and get yourself a one of those tests as well, the emissions tests. You've also then got to take all your paperwork to the LTO. Then you've got to go back to the highway patrol group, then back to the LTO. Oh, yeah, absolutely crazy. So, just be ready and be prepared. See, I myself, I think if I was to buy a car again, I'd probably use a Filipino friend, put it in their name, and let them deal with it, and just give them the money to do it. Because honestly, wow, what a nightmare. And I've also heard, this is sort of going left of centre a little, when buying scooters here, that they're trying to push you onto payment plans versus they don't want to sell it to you in cash because they make more money on it. So be prepared for that one, that you may not be able to even buy a brand new scooter in some places. Now, coming back to our car and older, or even most second-hand cars, just be prepared that, remember, you're on islands. It's not like one big massive land where transportation of parts is easy, quick, and generally what you're looking for is there. It's not. Believe me, it's not. You may be only able to buy second-hand parts, and you don't know how long they've got to go, or even if they work. So be wary of it. Just be wary. Now, do I say don't buy second-hand cars? No, I don't at all. Do I regret buying ours? No, not really, because by the time we finished with her, yes, we had spent a lot of money, but had we have determined to stay permanently, I would have probably spent another 1,000 Australian dollars on her and got her in absolute ship shape, absolutely perfect, and kept it, because she was a great car. She was a big bodied Toyota, and you know, she took us from one end of Cebu to the other, over to Dumageddon, a month over on, you know, at Dumageddon and surrounding areas, and it did the South Rum trip 3 times. You know, so she was a great car for long distance. And when I say long distance, it may not be physically long distance, but when you're in a car trying to go just 100 or so kilometres and it takes 4 or 5 hours, yeah, it takes its toll on a car. You know, it's the heat, everything else. Now, I mean, that's other things that we did. I also swapped out the coolant. I swapped out the gearbox oil, because by the time I got around to it, you know, we bought it and it was a nice pink. By the time we'd finished driving, well, not even finished driving actually, it was on Mactan, I did an oil change and it was black. So, you know, they might have just done a fresh oil change, maybe the filter, who knows. So there was more work to be done there. But the gearbox, the car was running smooth by the time we let it go. So that's really all I'm going to say on the matter for the moment. But if you have any questions, please write them down in the comments, and I will be more than happy to answer them, because I'm pretty sure I haven't covered everything. If you have any queries, you can always send them to me at toby.stradagray@gmail.com. More than happy to converse with you and help you out. Give you the name of our lawyers who helped us out get the paperwork through. And give you some tips in relation to buying cars here. Now, I can totally understand why a lot of Americans and Australian gentlemen that come here have chosen to buy brand new 4-wheel drives. If I come here again, I would probably do the same if I didn't buy a scooter. Scooters, better for parking, more, you know, just easier to get around, better. Except no aircon and you're out in the full sun. So you've got to weigh up the pros and cons. Having a vehicle here, you've also got to think of parking. Now, we stayed at places that said they had parking. Well, it turned out that it was, once you checked in, it was on street parking, and that's if there was parking available. So where do you park then? Who knows? Philippines is not designed for public parking of vehicles on the sides of the road. Now, you will also notice that there's a lot of times where there's vehicles, what we call double parked, and even triple parked here, and can sometimes be taken up a whole road. Not that they're parked there permanently, but they may be going into someone's house or into a shop or whatever. So each individual house, because they're literally built on top of each other, doesn't have parking necessarily. Not everywhere you stay will have parking, so be ready for that. That was probably one of my biggest irks here, that everywhere we went, I'd see these amazing things that I really wanted to jump out and vlog for you guys, but I couldn't, because you just couldn't get parking. And by the time you could, you were so far down the road. I don't know what to say. I think I'm picking up a bit of a cold with this changing weather. Yeah, the weather's not looking real flash today. Bit overcast, bit muggy. But anyways, well, as our journey ends and the new journey begins, I hope that you stick with us. I've still got the rest of the City Horse series coming up. I'm working diligently to get those done and up. Sadly, it's just a lot of my time is spent getting ready to head for the airport and leave the Philippines, sadly. Now, as I said before, that's not the end of our journey here in the Philippines. It's only the beginning. And we are very lucky that we've had boots on the ground for 7 months now. So we know the ins and the outs, because everything that could go wrong, trust me, has gone wrong. And, you know, the best part about it is here in the Philippines, we've taken it all in our stride. it's, you know, with cars, it's not like in Australia or probably America where you just jump online and you transfer it online. You put it into somebody else's name, you add their details on it, you just hit save, and the rest of it's on to them. You've literally released your responsibilities on it. Things like Airbnbs not even being existing, you know, people still advertising in them. You get there and say, "Oh, sorry, sir, we're not taking bookings." Well, you paid for the booking, so how do you get your money back? And then Airbnb saying that because you're cancelling, even though technically the owner has said no, and then there's a loss in translation and all the rest of it. It's not like the West where we have accountability systems in place behind the scenes. Here, we've lost a lot of money. A lot of money. So be wary of those two. Now, upcoming vlogs, when we get back to Australia, I'm actually going to sit down. I'll nut out some of the things that I think are really important to people who are moving here, and put them down on in just little short vlogs. Just, you know, step one to step whatever on how to do things, how to get things done, how to avoid things, because yeah, we've learned pretty much everything that can go wrong has gone wrong. We've learned that you know, what we expect and what we think, it just isn't the way. So just be ready for that. Just be ready for that. Anyway, guys, Tuesday morning, we're out of here Friday. Very sad to leave, but it's got to be done. So hopefully some of this advice has helped. Like I said, if you've got any queries, down in the comments, shoot us an email. But most importantly, guys, come here, love the place, love the people, and just enjoy yourself. And probably the most important thing is, remember to just stay chilled, because it happens when it happens. It gets done when it gets done. There is no do it tomorrow, do it the next minute. You know, I say someone be there at 1, they turn up at 3. It's the Philippines. It's just how it works. So there's no use stressing about it. You just be like water. Go with the flow. If that's anything I can leave you with, is here in the Philippines, be like water. Go with the flow. Anyway, guys, God bless. Take care, and most importantly, keep on keeping on and keep it real. Bye for now, guys.